We're going to get started on time because those who work with me know that I like to start on time and I like to end on time. This is going to go against my normal presentation style because I'm usually all over the room, but because we want to make this information accessible to the general public who cannot be here tonight via our website, I am corded and mic'd to that camera, and we're recording right here for audio, so I kind of have to stay put right here so that we can disseminate this information to those who cannot come. First of all, I want to say thank you for hearing about some new thing, not really knowing exactly what it is, and showing up. This shows how supportive our community is. What I wanted to do before we get started into the feedback part of what we will have as the heart and soul of each of these meetings is tell you a little bit more about Washington Township Advisory Council. For those of you who I've not personally met, my name is Nikki Woodson and I'm the proud superintendent of Washington Township. I've been the assistant superintendent the past 2 years here in Washington Township, so I've gotten to know all of the wonderful supportive and groups that give us advisement and feedback across the district. What I did not see, however, in my 2 years was a broad-based stakeholder group coming together, having shared voices. Not voices that agree, but shared voices, and other people listen to different stakeholders. So we have student government, very, very strong. We have parent council, which meets tonight at 7. We have PTOs. I've presented to 4 of them already across the district. We have wonderful groups like that all around, but they're very homogenous. There's one singular voice at those tables. I wanted to create something very, very different where you bring broad-based stakeholders together to listen to other stakeholders of variety of viewpoints and perspectives on some big district-wide issues. The first thing I will tell you, and those who work closely with me know very well, this is not smoke and mirrors. We're not just doing this to say, check, yeah, we did those feedback forums. We have no preconceived notions about the outcomes of the topics that we're going to bring forth to you over the course of this year. We are truly asking for input. And I guarantee that you'll see the results of that. So I do want to give you just a little bit of background information as we get started. Maybe, let's try a different one. Today's agenda is going to be quick and furious. We want input on 2 major things. First, their strategic plan, and second, school calendar. So what we are going to do is do this first part about what is this advisory council in the first place. And the second part, we'd love to have you join you at this table right here. Sorry. I just don't want to spread to that side of the room if we don't have to. And then we're going to do the feedback. All of the feedback that we'll do all year long will be in table groups. We know from those of us who have participated in them, open mics are not effective. Not every voice gets heard. So we are not doing any open mic. They will all be small group table conversations. That's why this is so important, that you're sitting with a wide variety of stakeholders. Then after we do the strategic plan feedback, we're going to talk about school calendar, give you some rationale and some information, and then we're going to open it up again for table talk about 2 different calendars that we're actually going to show you tonight for input. So that's where we're headed. So I want you to meet who's at your table. First, let's take a moment, pull up that blue card. Look around your table at the name tags on your table and make sure that you have a broad-based group of stakeholders at your table. If you need a representative, we don't have a lot of students here, so you can exclude the student one, but we certainly wouldn't want a table with all staff or all parents. If you need to mix around, you can certainly do that at this time. What I want you to do is go around your table, share your name. If you're staff, a parent, a student, look at that question or the thing that's in parentheses after that title, and then share really quickly, 30 seconds or less, why are you here tonight participating in this advisory council? If we have new people come in, they can join this table here. So take a few minutes and do that. Introductions, follow that list right up there. Thank you.
I know.
Okay, let's bring that last comment or introduction to a close. What I want to share now is a little bit about Washington Township Advisory Council. I want to kind of define what it is and what it isn't, so everybody knows clearly right up front. What is it? It is absolutely advisory. This group is not a decision-making group. It's not a design group. Everything that you will see brought before you has been months and months of work. When you talk about the big items that we will talk about, these aren't things that we can sit in our offices in an afternoon and draft up. These are things that take multiple input before it even comes before you. So it's not a decision-making group, it's not a creating group, it's not a development group, you're an advisory group based on what the drafts that we have created. We're going to talk about big district-wide issues. I know many of you have specific schools that you support, or that you even attended, or that you have children attending, or that you're a staff member at. This isn't the forum to deal with those building-specific items. There's other forums at your school, and you can talk to your building principal about those opportunities. These are big, broad, district-wide issues. We also, as I said in the beginning, we want broad-based stakeholder feedback and advisement. We don't want isolation or exclusion. This isn't an invitation only. We did send out some notices. We invited key people, but it is not an invitation only. If you leave here tonight and you say, this wasn't for me, you don't have to come back. If you leave here tonight and say, wow, I feel like I really had a voice in district-wide issues and I want other people to know that they can have a voice too, then go spread the word. You don't have to be here for every single meeting, just come to the ones you can. We also want multiple voices and perspectives, which is why those blue tent cards are on your table. We want you to hear perspectives from other stakeholders other than yourself. We don't want to replace, however, the wonderful support groups we have existing in the district. This isn't a replacement of PTO or parent council or student government or any of those wonderful entities that we have that support our schools. Those will still exist. This is something very, very different. Our study topics for this school year are the strategic plan, the school calendar, and student hours. And every time we present a draft of something to you for feedback, we will give you a little bit of rationale as to why we've decided that this is a draft we are ready for feedback on. And that's what we're going to do tonight. This isn't an open mic. We aren't going to talk about just what anybody has on their minds, because that would be a million different things if we took all those from your mind right now and put it down on paper. It's a very, very focused group, because we only have 2 hours to gain feedback from a lot of people. So it's going to be very, very focused. We do have a myriad of meetings set up. We sent out the first wave of here's when we're going to meet, and we got feedback that said, I don't like that 4:30 start time. We also got feedback that said, that 4:30 start time is perfect. So what did we do? From that feedback, we just alternated each month a 4:30 start time and then a 6:30 start time to hopefully mend with multiple people's schedules and family needs in the evening. We also got feedback, first all the meetings were here, it's just easier for me to walk downstairs personally, but we got feedback saying, hey, come to my side of the district and have a meeting. So we said, hey, that's not a bad idea. So we moved the meetings all across the district, so they'll be all over. So we've already listened to your feedback and implemented some of the things that we heard from some of the reminders that we've sent and things like that. But use this calendar because some of the reminders that we've sent have been changed based on your feedback to now. We are going to stick to what we have here, though. If you say, oh no, we really want a 7 o'clock start time, we're not going to change it anymore. We're going to stick to what we've got here, but we're very, very excited for the year ahead. We need to have some ground rules in order to have great broad-based stakeholder conversations. I just put these together based on large groups that I've facilitated in the past. Every single person in this room needs to have a voice tonight. We have some organizations or formats for meetings that not everyone gets a voice. Tonight, everyone gets a voice. You wouldn't be here if you didn't want to have a voice. So the format that we're going to lend to you tonight allows everyone to have a voice. You don't have to agree with every voice you're going to hear tonight. That's not the purpose of this advisory council. It's to listen and honor different perspectives, not to agree with every different perspective. We want to ask questions to better understand. So somebody may say, I hate this calendar because X, Y, Z. Instead of saying, well, I can't believe you just hate this calendar, ask a question. Well, what is it exactly about X, Y, Z that wouldn't work for your family? Ask a question to better understand. And we need you to participate. Our discussion topics outside of the Washington Township Advisory Council are highly encouraged. You are here representing a stakeholder group. We want you to go out and talk about this weekend, at the Friday night game, at Frankenstein the play at North Central this weekend, at your neighborhoods. We want you to talk about these topics. Nothing that we share is top secret. And we also want you to attend the meetings that you can, but if your family is anything like mine, you can't commit to very much. every single month and guarantee that your calendar is going to be free. So I just ask that you attend the meetings that you can. If you can't attend another meeting till February, come back in February and join us. But what we're going to do in the meantime is put all of the audio from the rationale and the information that we will share at each advisory council on our website. And we're going to try to do the video. We're going to do audio and video tonight and see which format works best so that you can hear the information that's given, and any feedback that we ask for will be available for you to give feedback on those same questions via the website. So even if a spouse, like my spouse, can't be here tonight because he's at home with a 4- and 6-year-old, hopefully making a healthy dinner, but he can still access the website to hear the information and give feedback if he wanted to. So please spread that word that this isn't exclusive to you have to be here in person. We're going to start with our strategic plan. What I would like for you to do is you're going to need that white piece of paper, the big, big, big piece of paper, and you're going to need some markers in your materials box that's on your table. What I'd like you to do is charge you with your table discussion centering around 2 very specific questions. The questions are about our district in general. So if you can see at the top of your paper, there are 2 columns, and there's 2 different questions there. Everybody see that? It may be upside down. Mr. Smith, if you could read the first question.
What does Washington Township do well?
First area we want you to discuss at your table is what we're currently doing that's really, really good. When I ask that question, most of you probably do think about classroom, teaching, and learning, but I did put our 5 divisions on here because our strategic plan will encompass all 5 divisions. We have teaching and learning, which is the big kahuna. That's the meat and potatoes of our organization without question. But they couldn't function without our business services department, which is everything money and finance about this big organization. They couldn't function without our operations division, which encompasses buildings and grounds and maintenance and custodial and child nutrition. They couldn't function well without the support of special services, which is gifted and talented special education and English as a new language. And our teaching and learning couldn't function without our human resources department. So when we ask that question, what are we doing really, really well? We want you to think certainly about our teaching and learning division, but as much as you know about other divisions, please lend input on those as well. And Mr. Smith, what's our second question?
What are the most critical areas of improvement for Washington Township?
So again, thinking about those 5 divisions that I mentioned, what areas do you think we as a district can improve on so that we're on a journey towards continuous improvement as well? So I'm going to give you some time. We're going to give you about 15 minutes. Remember, every person at your table should have a voice. So I want you to police yourselves as you need to. Ask a question. How do you feel about that if you haven't heard from someone? Or I'd love to hear about a community member's perspective on this. Just make sure that everyone is included in this conversation. So with that, we're going to start the timer, and we're going to give you 15 minutes. Write the big ideas down on this chart paper with a marker, and then we'll move to the next portion of this. Thank you.
Okay, what do we do well? Here for 2 days.
We're going to transition now for the last hour of our advisory council this month, which we're going to begin the conversation on school calendar. And to launch us into this is the person who is organizing the advisory councils for the district, Dr. John Milliman, who is our assistant superintendent.
Thank you, Dr. Woodson. This turnout just continues to reinforce my reason for joining your team here at Washington Township. This outpouring of support and interest in the education of our young people here at Washington Township from students and community members and parents, and we appreciate it very, very much. The study of the school calendar, as Dr. Woodson said, will launch a little bit this evening, but it's not our first go-around in this topic. Washington Township did study this extensively in the past, but we are bringing it back for discussion this year. Let's see if we can move this forward here. Why the need to study a calendar? From my perspective, I'll give my perspective, and I think it echoes the perspective of administrators and teachers, that we owe it to our students to explore every avenue, every operation that we do that might influence their experience at school and experiences of their learning process. And certainly calendar and time can influence their experiences at school. We revisited this. You'll see a couple options this evening. You have some at your table. We tried to find 26 hours in a day. We tried to add an 8th day to the week, a 32nd day to the month. We just couldn't quite fit that in. If you're like me, I sure wish we had that extra hour every day. But we did look at the way we organize time. We will look at how we organize time as school hours, as Dr. Whitson alluded to, later in this process. But we wanted to start with the calendar, as it is a time-sensitive topic as well. This is one of those things that we need to make some decisions about very quickly. There is research out there regarding time and learning. It's very difficult, though, for us to pinpoint one variable in the learning process. We know that the effectiveness of a teacher is extremely important. That classroom teacher is an extremely important variable. We know that parental support is an extremely important variable. We know that student motivation is an extremely important variable. But it's very difficult to pinpoint one item that's going to influence achievement the most. But we do know that organization of time can influence the way our students rehearse information and retain information and then therefore recall information. And I think that's one of the reasons that many schools and many districts, both in the state and nationally, have explored the calendar. So those are, from my perspective, the reason why we are revisiting this topic, that we owe it to our students to look at every option available to them. Some myths about our calendar, or any school calendar. One of the myths is that you'll hear this is a year-round calendar discussion. We do not have the option to go year-round. We go 181 days in this district. Many districts go 180 days. But that is the standard number of days students go. It's the organization of those 181 days. So it's not 340 days of school or 260 days of school, or it's not really a year-round discussion that we're having. Will students have 181 days? Yes. How's summer vacation impacted? The options you'll see tonight basically impacts it by 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks, could be on the outside of the 2.5 weeks, depends on the calendar from year to year. If you've been around this business long enough and you've built enough school calendars, you realize how that leap year factors in and it cycles back. It's basically a 6-year cycle when you're doing school calendar. You start seeing things flip back, and that's why you see us start school on August 13th one year, and then all of a sudden, why are we starting school on the 19th this year? And it was the 13th. Well, there's weekends and where holidays fall and all of those things, and they cycle back. So that's why it's such a wide range there. But on a calendar in which students would have more frequent vacations throughout the calendar, you would have about an 8-week summer. And on the calendar that we have now, you have around a 10.5, 11-week summer. So those are ranges, but that's how that would be impacted. How's childcare impacted? I guess that would be a it depends question. Depends on your community, depends on how they would react to that school calendar. But once again, it's 181 student days. So as far as providing childcare, they're providing childcare for the same number of days they would now, just in a different configuration. So it would just be some adjustment, and I think when we've talked to districts that have moved to a different calendar, those adjustments are made. So that would be the response on that particular topic. We thought it might be helpful for you to see what some of the schools around us are doing with the calendar. The districts around us that have already implemented this, a calendar of 2-week breaks throughout the year with a abbreviated summer vacation is Warren, IPS, and Pike in a partial setting there in a number of their schools within their district. Under serious discussion of the calendar right now is us, Lawrence, Franklin Township, Perry, and Beech Grove. And 2 districts that will go to a calendar that you will look at tonight, very similar to what you'll look at tonight, is Wayne and Decatur Township. So let me mention too, and on the bottom of this slide, and we'll post this PowerPoint for you, that I don't want to recreate the wheel. Decatur Township did some outstanding work and have many pieces of literature and resources on their website. Why would I go out and do all that work again when I could just provide you the link, which is exactly what I did. So it's on that PowerPoint. You can go to their website tonight if you like and see some of the articles and the results of their study in their district as well. So I encourage you to do that. They have many pieces of literature out there for you to look at, and we can provide some more as well, and will as this process continues. So let's take a look at some of our areas. So now you can follow along. We put a few copies at your table. We started with option B sort of accidentally. Option B around our table was pretty much what we're on now, and I thought it would be best to start with that option tonight because it contains something that is important for us to continue, and that is to end our first semester before our winter break. That is just something from the secondary level especially that is a good, clean break for our students. It's something that's been visited. That's a topic that's been visited by this district. It's a decision that's been made, and we didn't need to have an advisory council meeting, trust me, on this topic. All you had to do is just bring it up in certain forums. And it's like, we're not even going to worry. That's a non-negotiable. I could tell that right away, that we're going to end first semester before winter break. So that's why I started with option B. To be quite frank with you, when you only have 180 days or 181 days to deal with, and you're going to end your holiday or end your semester before the winter holiday, you start running out of options pretty quickly. It starts becoming very difficult to start school, let's call it in a more comfortable calendar day that you would be used to. You start running out of options. So again, we started with calendar B so you could see that was an important component. Then we'll show you a calendar A, which is a calendar that is represented by some more frequent breaks throughout the calendar year. Let me say that the student days and faculty days are not written in stone. Those are types of things that we discuss with our Teachers Association, with our school board, with this group, with PTOs. I had to pick days that sort of made sense, looking at other schools' calendars. So those are really movable. Those are things that we could discuss, but this is a general framework which will give you an idea of what the school year would look like. So we put that calendar at your place setting as well, and you'll notice it's just really the same number of vacation days, just shifted throughout the school year. Some additional considerations when dealing with the calendar that has more frequent vacations throughout the calendar year are items like remediation and enrichment possibilities. Certainly our students that need to catch up a little bit, students that might be preparing for advanced placement tests, students who might be working on community service projects through International Baccalaureate or even through some of their extracurricular groups that do community service projects can happen during those breaks. Let me pause and say I almost hesitated to put some of these bullets up here because we want you to brainstorm positives and potential barriers to calendar options. And I hesitated to feed you some of those things, but I thought it was important that you would know some of these things up front. So there's some things that relate to AP, International Baccalaureate, and or our students that need some catch-up time that I thought were important to share with you. Right now, our elementary students do have summer opportunities, but perhaps under a different calendar, those enrichment opportunities and catch-up moments could be spread out throughout their time during the calendar year. So they learn it, they get that reinforcement, go right back into the classroom with more skills. Communication between districts, that's just athletics, extracurriculars, sharing of substitute teachers. There's just lots of things that go on between districts that could be on different calendars, that those things could be influenced. So that's what that bullet's related to. PSAT testing is a biggie. Right now, Warren Township is on one of their 2-week vacations during the PSAT test, the one that happens during the week. So there are discussions that would have to take place with the College Board in order to continue that opportunity for our students. That's certainly not something that we would take away from them. Yes?
Is the football team on vacation?
I guess so. Oh, no, they would not.
They're not.
No, right. We don't, I will say that we do not get to pick the time that we give College Board tests. SATs, PSATs are mandated test times that every school in the country has basically not basically, we have 2 options. You give it on a certain Tuesday in October or a certain Saturday in October, and those are the only 2 dates nationally that those tests are given. The SAT has, as you know, quarterly tests, or spring, and they have a different option, so but those are locked in as well. The summer school impact, I mentioned it briefly, that the K-8 summer school is a bit of a different configuration now than the high school summer school piece. In high school, you're earning a credit. So there's a certain number of seat hours that need to take place in order for the student to earn that credit. There's a little bit more flexibility with moving maybe some things that would happen in the summer now to other times throughout the calendar for our students K through 8. You're not dealing with the same credit issue that you are at the high school. So just something to consider as we're looking at the various calendars. Again, when we post these PowerPoint slides for you, you'll be able to link to some of these articles. Some of these articles are ones that our district used in the previous research of this calendar, and some of them are the current documents that Decatur Township, Wayne Township, and some of those districts are looking at now. But I do encourage you to go out to those districts and take a look at the work that they're doing as well. So, very similar to what Dr. Woodson had you do, we'd like for you to spend time at your table. We've provided a smaller form. Obviously, you won't be using a gallery walk for this particular exercise. I suppose we could, but it would be an interesting exercise with you all bending over looking at a small sheet of paper. We have a smaller form for you. We're going to try to turn the results around to this a little bit quicker. We want your reaction to it. As you can see, on the left-hand side, I believe it's the left-hand side, is A, and the right-hand side is B. Yes. On the left-hand side is A, and the right-hand side is B. Your feedback, strengths, weaknesses, barriers, challenges, what you're excited about, what you want to learn more about. We'd like to know what you want to learn more about. We'll bring some of those answers back to this forum next time. We'll certainly post those on the website as well. Yes? Yes?
Back to 2 slides ago,
Uh-huh.
you showed who's considering, no, keep going, sorry, that.
Uh-huh.
Do you have any statistics or information on Hamilton, Southeastern, Carmel, Zionsville, Fishers?
Well, I only have personal experience from one of the districts that you mentioned, having just worked there last year. That is not on Hamilton Southeastern's radar to my knowledge right now. At one time, they had some elementaries that were on a calendar very similar to option A. I cannot speak to Carmel and Zionsville. I don't know. No, Carmel is not. So. Yes?
John, you may have addressed this. besides the retention aspect of
Mhm.
shorter summer,
Yep.
are there other issues to having this schedule? I mean, are other benefits to having that schedule?
Other than the retention?
Yeah, I mean, we were just wondering, just is retention the #1 reason for shortening the summer?
I think it's certainly a big factor. Is again how the distance between when you learn, when you stop learning, and when you are having to review material. Look at finishing pre-calculus in June and taking it back up in August, going from pre-calc to AB, or even from 3rd grade to 4th grade. I think that there's always a ramp-up time, there's always a review time, that the hope would be short. Dr. Woodson?
What we have at each table are staff members and administrators.
Yep.
And they can lend to you some viewpoints on advantages and disadvantages of both calendars as well from the learning aspect.
Yep.
So we do want to get you to that group work right
Yep.
away and allow those questions and comments to come from there. But I can tell you, Warren Township, for instance, had a list of benefits that they thought here are the kind of the benefits
Right.
and rationale as to why we want to do this. But then they had unintended consequences as well. One of the biggest that they've shared data on is lack of teacher absences. Their teacher absences went significantly down going to this calendar. So does that impact learning? Without question. The more I can put a teacher in front of your student versus a substitute, that's certainly going to impact learning. That was an unintended consequence.
Right.
So I think we'll turn it over to the table.
Yeah, and if you have additional questions, Dr. Woodson and I will continue to circulate, and we can weigh in at your table. It'd be really good to hear the students' voices and ask your administrators at your table. Thanks. So again, no rush for you to leave, but feel free to do so whenever you finish your conversation. Thank you so much for coming tonight.